Hey folks, Chuck Holton here, and this is a quick update on the war in Ukraine for the 13th of January 2025. Well, for the first time, the Ukrainians over the weekend captured alive two North Korean soldiers, and they are being held and interrogated by some people who came in from South Korea talking to them. You can imagine how interesting that conversation must be. And the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky, has already said he'd be willing to trade them back to Russia for some Ukrainian prisoners. But it remains to be seen whether or not those North Korean prisoners will actually want to go back once they figure out what life is like in Europe. On top of that, for another first, the Ukrainians are actually gaining an advantage over Russia in terms of their tanks, and that's because their drone companies are doing such a good job of destroying Russian tanks before they can even get to the front lines that the Russian tanks are unable to be used in the normal way that they're made for, and that is to lead attacks against Ukraine. Instead, they're behind their own lines and being used as basically very inaccurate howitzers and firing shells at the Ukrainian positions, and that's about it. The Ukrainian tanks, on the other hand, have much more leeway because they are basically gaining air superiority in those regions. Now, the interesting thing is the Russians have drones as well, but their drones are not as effective because of heavy jamming, electronic jamming done by the Ukrainians, and because the Russian drones are not as good because of corruption in the manufacturing process. So that's interesting. So on top of that, the Ukrainian president has offered to send firefighters to help with the wildfires that are devastating Los Angeles. And that's another interesting development as well. So we'll keep you updated on everything. Make sure to like and share the podcast and go to chuckholton.com for a lot more information. We'll see you again. Take care.